Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics. Today I'm reviewing Future State Justice League number 2. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Robson Rocha. Now this continues from the first issue where the Hyperclan imprisoned the Justice League in this other dimension, and now they're impersonating the League in order to fool the public. And that's kind of how the story starts. They're doing good deeds and catching villains and that sort of thing. But of course, they're really plotting to take over the world, and they've created this machine that's going to, enslave everybody's minds, turn everyone into their mindless pawns or something like that. Meanwhile, the League is in this other universe. They're in this kind of hellish landscape. And they do figure out that it's the Hyperclan who's behind this. And of course, the Martians are shapeshifters, so they start questioning, well, how do we know we're really all who we say we are? How do we know one of us isn't a Martian? Because they've had this policy of not sharing their secret identity, so they don't really know each other that well. But eventually they kind of figure out who's who, and then the Flash tells them that he can kind of sense the vibratory patterns of this universe, and he realizes that they're actually on a parallel Earth of some sort, in another universe, and believes he can use his speed powers to share his speed with all of them, and then they can use their vibrational abilities to kind of adjust their vibrations back to their home universe, which will shift them back to their normal Earth, and they do that. Meanwhile, the Hyperclan has set up this system of satellites as part of their plan to take over the world, and they're about to activate the machine when the League shows up, and then there's a battle takes place. And Primex, who is the leader of the Hyperclan, he goes inside the Hall of Justice to activate the machine. But they fight him, and then Batman just pulls a flamethrower literally just out of nowhere. He just suddenly has a flamethrower. Of course, the Martians are vulnerable to fire, and he's able to defeat Primex with that. And then subsequently they kind of resolve that they will get to know each other better, and basically become friends instead of just teammates, and reveal their identities to each other. And it kind of ends with this epilogue where they have this little meeting and they decide on adding new members to the team. So this story, overall, I liked it. Robson is a good artist. This guy is very talented. I look forward to seeing more from him. The story by Williamson is, it's pretty basic stuff. Villains, impersonate the heroes and then fool the public, and they're secretly plotting to, take over the world and all. So pretty basic by the numbers stuff, but, and also it's resolved a little too easily. I mean, they get out of this other dimension, I think, a little too easily. And again, Batman just pulls this flamethrower out of nowhere. But, I actually, so many comic book stories, they are just padded out terribly, and there are so many issues where not much really happens, that to get this quick 2-issue story, to me, was actually kind of refreshing. I mean, I prefer this to this same story, but stretched out over 6 issues for a trade paperback. So anyway, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this Future State Justice League team. I like their interaction. And like I say, Rocha, he's really good. So yeah, I give this story is definitely a thumbs up for me. Now, the backup is Justice League Dark. And again, this continues from the first issue. This is written by Ram V with art by Maceo Takara. And honestly, I don't care much about this one way or the other. I mean, I like these characters well enough, but this story to me just... So in the first part of this, the first issue was just a mess. It was confusing, and hardly anything really happened up until the last couple of pages. The upshot of all this is that Merlin wants to control all the magic in the world for reasons, I guess. I don't know. If they ever said why he's doing this, I don't remember. And he's after the Helmet of Fate because it's the last magic relic in the world that he doesn't control. So he's after it. And then Khalid here, the guy who's Dr. Fate now, he goes to try and find Naboo. That Naboo is the Lord of Order who gave him the Helmet of Fate. But instead of finding Naboo, he finds this female entity who calls herself Howhet. And, and I'll just read this. So, my name is Howhet, and I am let's say, a friend of Naboo's. I have watched him in his earthly endeavors with great interest for a long time. I can mend the broken helm of fate, but I am far older than Naboo and far less naive. So, it's basically like, he didn't find Naboo, but he found Howhet, and she's a woman, so she's like totes better, and way better than Naboo is. So anyway, a part of this story is they're trying to convince Etrigan to help them fight Merlin, because he's been reluctant to do so because Merlin is holding Jason Blood hostage, and Jason Blood is, of course, the host, or it was the host for Etrigan for a long time, so I guess he feels some sort of connection to him still, and therefore he's reluctant to take action against Merlin. But they do convince him to help fight, and the Enchantress shows up, and she's serving Merlin. And then Etrigan attacks Enchantress, and he really wrecks her. I mean, he beats the crap out of her. I was surprised that a comic would show, a male character being this violent against a woman these days. But, I don't know, he's a demon and therefore technically not a man, so maybe that's why he gets a pass and he can do it. I don't know. But anyway, then Merlin shows up with this guy in armor who uses this magic sword to stab Etrigan, and then it turns out that the guy in armor is Jason Blood, who has teamed up with Merlin. He's kind of been converted to Merlin's cause. Again, for reasons, I mean, why, I don't know. And he's going to kill Etrigan, but then Dr. Fate intercedes, and he strikes a bargain with Merlin that he'll serve Merlin willingly and use the Helmet of Fate in his cause. And again, Merlin agrees to this for some reason. Why? I mean, he's kind of holding all the cards. You would think he could just kill them all and take the helmet if he wants, but he agrees to this, even though it's pretty obvious that he's only doing this to help save his friends' lives. And, he's probably not really a believer in Merlin's cause now, and he's going to probably betray Merlin at the first opportunity, but Merlin agrees to it anyway, so, because the plot calls for him to do it, I guess. And then they leave, and that's the end. So, yeah, I just don't care about this story. It's very confusing. I don't really understand why any of this is happening. The art by Takara is actually quite good, really good. And the story, I mean, it's not awful. I'm not understanding what's going on. So overall, I give this issue a thumbs up. The Justice League, I really liked. I give a thumbs up. The Justice League's Dark story, good art, on the story, but it's good enough. So I do recommend this. Let me know what you thought of this issue, and if you found this video informative, please hit the like. Also, please sub to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.